So right here's the Ontario rat1. I've been wanting to do a review on this knife for a while. I actually had a review out on it, but it didn't satisfy me, so I decided I'd take it off. I'm not going to go into too much detail about anything, but I'm just going to tell you what I think about it and some little specs here and there, I guess. But right off the back, I'm going to start off with the weight, and this knife is pretty heavy. I don't guess it's too heavy for what it is and what it's made out of, but it weighs around the 5-ounce range. So I'm going to start off with the first thing that I did. If you look in there, you can see those drilled holes. And I done that to lose some weight on there. I saw nothing fancy done it, and I thought, hey, why not? Seems like it'd be easy enough. So I took it apart. It's pretty hard to drill through the liners, but I mean, it was easy and it was worth it. I believe it probably saved me about an ounce. I drilled like 12 holes in there or something. I drilled a bunch. There's some in there you can't really see with the camera, but you can see most of them. I didn't drill near as many in this one as I did this one, but I believe I only drilled like 4 in this one, and I drilled like 7 or 8 or something in this one. But the texturing on it, it's not too grippy, but it doesn't bother me at all. I mean, the knife opens real fast. It has a good choil in it here. Everybody complains about this jimping, but I think it's alright. I mean, my thumb sticks to almost any type of jimping, though, it seems like. Like, I can't get my thumb to slide up on this hardly at all. I mean, you can tell there I'm trying really hard, and I mean, it just stays in there. And as you can see, it put the marks on my thumb. So I don't know if they improved the jimping on this model, or if I just like it better than everyone else. But as you can tell, I have used this blade a bunch, so I really like the knife because I EDC it now every day ever since I've skeletonized the liners. Before I skeletonized them, I would not carry the knife. I believe that's just due to the weight, and I could actually feel it in my pants, and skeletonizing it just made it just enough that I can't really feel it in my pants too much. It did make a pretty big difference though in the feel of the knife. It is a liner lock knife, but I believe it's one of the strongest liner locks I've ever had. I've opened canned food with this. There was a basketball goal base, like here's the base, and the pole comes up here, then up here to be the net up at the top, if you get what I'm saying. And the base is full of sand, and I believe the base is like 3 foot by 4 foot, and was emptying the sand out of it because the goal broke, so I just needed to get all the sand out. And you know, the hole that you fill the sand in isn't but about that big. So I took this knife right here and I cut through the plastic, and I cut 2 big squares out of the plastic that's probably a foot by a foot in width. And that plastic was probably a 1/4 inch thick to an 1/8 of an inch thick, depending on which part of the base that it was cutting on, because the sides was thicker than the top. But I cut through it with this knife. It didn't really even dull the knife that bad. And as you can see, the liner has no issues in any way whatsoever, and it locks up just the way it did from factory, and there's no blade play in any direction after all this use. As you can tell, the coating's scuffed up a bit. I believe everybody makes too big of a deal about this coating scuffing off easily, because when I cut the basketball go base, none of this scratched off. Actually, what happened when it scratched off was I was out fishing, and I had a can of corn that I was fishing with because I was trying to catch carp. And I did not have a can opener with me because I forgot at my house, but I had the knife with me, and I actually just opened the can with the knife. I just kind of stabbed it into it and then just went around a circle in it. It dulled the blade a bit, but it didn't chip it or anything, and it scratched off the coating on one side, but didn't do much to the other side, which is fine with me. It's a knife and I bought it to use it, so I'm not going to complain about that. But it does hold up a lot better than people say. The blade still is Aus-8 still, but I find that it gets really sharp, and I don't really have any complaints about this knife rusting. I've had other Aus-8 knives that'll rust a little bit, but this one doesn't do much. You know, it keeps a good edge on it and everything. I don't know how sharp it is right now. You can see. Oh, it was shaving a little bit. I'm using my left hand though, and I can't. Yeah, it's shaving. But I'm using my left hand, and it's harder to do it with that. I'll try it right here. It's just barely shaving, but it is. There's just taking off a few hairs each time, seems like. But anyway, I also used this the other day to cut some wire, so I'm sure that done a lot of damage to the blade. This is by far one of the best knives for the money though. For around 30 bucks, maybe 20 bucks if you get lucky, you can buy this knife. It has super fast deployment. You barely even have to flick the thumb stud. You can just, and then it opens. I mean, I'm pretty sure this opens faster than a switchblade does. I think it's because the huge ball detent that it has in it. And it just catches and pops it open real easily. Also, the pocket clip on there is reversible any direction, tip up or tip down. But there is one big complaint I have about it. I love the way it rides. I love how it sits with that much of the knife hanging out. I like that just fine. Pocket clip's good quality still, but this right here is what bothers me. How it wiggles like that. And if you look up here at the screws aren't moving or anything. It's like the holes in the pocket clip is bigger than the screws are, so it gives it a wiggle side to side. You can get them down really tight, but eventually it wears loose again and gets like this. And it doesn't bother me while it's in my pocket. It bothers me whenever I hold it like this. Usually I put my finger in this and I'll flick it open like that. I can feel that clip move sometimes whenever I flick it open, and it makes me not be able to open the knife. But as far as anything else goes, there's really no other complaints. I like the knife a lot, and I would definitely buy another one of these if I came across it at a gun and knife show or something, just because it seems like such a good deal. Don't know the overall length, but I know the blade length is around 3 or 3.5 inches. It's a good blade length, I think. It's perfect for about any EDC task that I can think of. I like the bigger knives EDC because usually I do some bigger chores like cutting rope, cutting up that basketball go base, you know, and if you have a bigger blade, you got more steel on it in the width wise, so you can sharpen it more before it's, you know, gets thin or anything, because usually I use my knives pretty good. Also, it has lanyard hole here at the bottom. I don't ever really put a lanyard on my folders, but I guess you could put one on here if you want. It is pillar construction, so you can just open it up there and wash it out pretty easily. You could probably really just put this in the dishwasher if you wanted to. Just dry it off real good when you get it out, and put a little bit of oil in it, and I'm sure you'd be fine. But this is definitely one of my favorite knives, especially for the money. I just like everything about this knife. I don't really have any complaints at all that's worth complaining about. I do generally like a spider hole better, because I like the spidey holes just really good. I don't know why. It's just like when I open it with a spider hole or spidey hole, whichever one you want to call it, I put my thumb into the hole this way and just flick my thumb up like this, because I got hitchhiker's thumb, and if I just flick it like that, it'll open real easy. But this, you gotta, I don't know, it's like you have to hit the stud. But if it's a spider cut, I can just kind of rub my finger up the knife and it gets caught in the thumb stud, or in the thumb hole, and opens it. But I like this. I like this pretty good. It took me a while to get used to the thumb stud because I like Spydercos a lot, and normally I carry a Spyderco. But I did eventually get used to a thumb stud, and now I can open it with no problem. But there's the knife.